Hello, a very good afternoon and welcome to the News International edition on this 15th day of March 2023. We are coming to you live from our Vision Group headquarters here in Kampala, Uganda. I'm Emma Akwero. Now, let's start off our news today from Mozambique, where aerial images show heavy flooding following the second landfall of Stormy Freddy in the country on March 11th. The storm has now moved inland towards Malawi, where heavy rains have triggered deadly landslides, prompting the government to declare a state of disaster. Cyclone Freddy, packing powerful winds and torrential rains, have killed more than 100 people in Malawi and Mozambique on its return to southern Africa's mainland, authorities confirmed on Monday.
Freddy, on track to become the longest-lasting storm on record, barreled through southern Africa at the weekend for the second time within a few weeks, making a comeback after a fast hit in late February. Malawi bore the brunt, counting at least 99 deaths after mudslides overnight washed away houses and sleeping occupants. We expect the number to rise, Charles Kalemba, a commissioner at the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, told a press conference. Another 134 people were injured and 16 are reported missing. Malawi's commercial capital, Blantyre, recorded 85 deaths. Residents used their bare hands to dig through the mud, hoping to find survivors. Government rescuers were late to arrive, said one resident, refusing to give his name, covered in mud, as he helped with the rescue effort. More than 11,000 people were affected by the storm, said the United Nations. The impact of the cyclone has piled more woes on a country grappling with the deadliest cholera outbreak in its history, which has killed over 1,600 people since last year. Severe weather events such as these are likely to exacerbate the spread of waterborne diseases like cholera, the UN Children's Agency UNICEF warned. President Lazarus Chakwera, currently in Doha attending a least developed countries meeting, declared a state of disaster in the southern region of the nation. The government was responding to the crisis while appealing for local and international aid for affected families, his office said. The Mozambique National Institute for Disaster Management said the fallout from the storm's second landfall in the country was worse than expected. Cyclone Freddy reached landlocked Malawi early on Monday morning after sweeping through Mozambique at the weekend. According to the UN's World Meteorological Organization, Freddy, which formed off northwestern Australia in the first week of February, was said to become the longest-lasting tropical cyclone on record. It crossed the entire southern Indian Ocean and blasted Madagascar from February 21st before reaching Mozambique on February 24th. Following what meteorologists describe as a rare loop trajectory, Freddy then headed back towards Madagascar before moving once more towards Mozambique. In total, Freddy has so far killed at least 136 people, 99 in Malawi, 20 in Mozambique, and 17 in Madagascar. Meanwhile, Cyclone Freddy in Malawi has displaced overwhelming crisis centers. Thousands of Malawians gather in crisis centers after losing their homes to flash floods and landslides triggered by Cyclone Freddy. Nearly 200 people have died in Malawi since the storm pummeled through southern Africa at the weekend for the second time within a few weeks. Relief workers expect the tally to rise. We received a lot of rain around lunch hour, and this resulted in a flash flood from the hill, which swept away a lot of people, including my father, my sister, and 2 girls. This means that 4 people from my family are still missing as they are buried in the mud.
Now, U.S. President Joe Biden has landed at the Los Angeles International Airport during a state visit to California. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby earlier said a Russian jet carried out a reckless maneuver when it collided with a U.S. drone over the Black Sea.
The United States on Tuesday condemned a Russian jet's reckless collision with one of its drones over the Black Sea that led to the loss of the American aircraft. it is not uncommon for there to be intercepts by Russian aircraft of U.S. aircraft over the Black Sea, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told journalists, referring to one plane making visual or electronic contact with another. However, this case is noteworthy because of how unsafe and unprofessional it was, indeed reckless that it was, he said. Kirby said U.S. President Joe Biden had been briefed about the incident and that the State Department would express Washington's concerns to Moscow. We don't need to have some sort of check-in with the Russians before we fly in international airspace. There is no requirement to do that, nor do we do it, he added. The Russian Su-27 jet struck the propeller of the MQ-9 Reaper drone, requiring it to be brought down in the water and resulting in the loss of the aircraft, the U.S. military said in a statement. Prior to the collision, two Su-27s dumped fuel on and flew in front of the MQ-9, it said. The United States uses MQ-9 Reapers for both surveillance, strikes, and has operated the drones in a variety of locations, including in the Middle East and Africa. Other countries, including Britain and France, also fly Reapers. Several U.S. MQ-9s have been lost in recent years, including to hostile action. One was shot down in 2019 over Yemen with a surface-to-air missile fired by Houthi rebels, who also unsuccessfully fired on another of the drones a few days later, the U.S. Central Command said. According to media reports, a U.S. MQ-9 crashed in Libya in 2022, while another went down during a training exercise in Romania earlier in the year, and another was lost over Libya in 2019.
From Ukraine, cars and vans left a monastery in Kyiv as Orthodox monks from the 11th century Lavra monastery are fighting eviction by the Ukrainian government because of their church's links with Russia. The ancient golden domed religious complex overlooking the Dnipro River is the country's most significant Orthodox monastery, with a population of monks who until recently were under Moscow's jurisdiction.
Orthodox monks from Kyiv's 11th century Pechersk Lavra monastery are fighting eviction by the Ukrainian government because of their church's links with Russia. The head of the monastery, Pavlo Lebed, vowed the monks have no intention of moving, but AFP reporters saw a large number of cars and vans drive out of the religious community on Tuesday. We of course want and are trying to achieve this, to stay on the side, but tomorrow there could be various scenarios. If something inexplicable happens tomorrow, that cannot be explained in human language because various things could happen, in that case we are ready. That's why the most heavy stuff is being moved out. We are leaving most of the stuff in the monastery. We ourselves remain. We, of course, would like to stay. We would like to stay in our Lavra where we have been for years. Many of the fathers, the monks, simply don't have anything except the Lavra. It's our home. And for us, this decision was a bolt from the blue, but to do so from our own rulers. The ancient golden domed religious complex overlooking the Dnipro River is the country's most significant Orthodox monastery, with a population of monks who were until recently under Moscow's jurisdiction. However, their branch of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church announced a rupture of ties with the Russian Orthodox Church after its leader, Patriarch Kirill, backed Moscow's invasion last year. For centuries, we have belonged to the church, which has its own beginning and patriarch, and to make us out to be some kind of foreign agents or enemies, this is not true. This is not so. This is our people, our land, and our Lavra. I always had such thoughts that believers always protect their church. We have no right to remain silent. We must defend our priesthood, our monks. And who but us will go to protect them? We must protect. The Kyiv government does not believe that the church has fully ended dependence on the Moscow Patriarchate. The Pechersk monastery and other church premises were raided last year by security services over suspected links to Russian agents. We have our own church, the Kyiv one, and a Ukrainian Patriarchate. There should be nothing in common with Russia. Moreover, they are only the Federal Security Service people. Why do we need them here? If they are pro-Moscow, We are not welcome here. We want pro-Ukrainian ones. If there will be Ukrainian ones, please, I'm all for it. Last Friday, Ukraine's culture minister, Oleksandr Tekancheko, announced the termination of the lease that allowed the church to occupy part of the monastery free of charge. The deadline, according to Ukrainian media, is March 29th. President Vladimir Putin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov on Monday condemned what he called outrageous decisions and an absolutely unprecedented attitude towards the community. Patriarch Kirill, leader of the Orthodox Church loyal to Moscow, has appealed to religious and international leaders, including UN Chief Antonio Guterres, expressing deep concern at what he said was an illegal ultimatum.
Now, Russian forces use white phosphorus munitions in Chasiv. Constant shelling can be heard and intense air activity can be seen in the sky above Bakhmut due to the presence of Russian air fighter jets. 2 rounds were fired within 5 minutes of each other at around 14:45 GMT on a road just outside the town leading to the nearby town of Bakhmut, site of the longest and the bloodiest battle since the Russian invasion began. Reporters could not say whether the target was a position or camp of Kyiv's forces, but a green van with a white cross, a sign of the Ukrainian army, was parked at the entrance of the road in the area that was burning. We have more.
Ukraine said Tuesday that the battle for Bakhmut, an industrial city in Donbas and site of the longest battle of Russia's invasion, was key to holding back Moscow along the entire front. The defensive operation in this area is of crucial strategic importance to deterring the enemy. It is key to the stability of the defense of the entire front, said Ukraine's most senior military official, Valery Zelensky. Ukraine's defense of the city is becoming precarious, with Russian ground forces led by the Wagner mercenary group reporting gains that signal the city could soon be encircled. But President Volodymyr Zelensky's office said in a statement Tuesday that the Ukrainian leader had met with senior military commanders and agreed his forces should remain in the embattled city. Having reviewed the course of the defensive operation in the Bakhmut sector, all members of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief's staff expressed a common position on further holding and defending Bakhmut, his office said in a statement. Analysts have played down the strategic significance of Bakhmut as a military prize, but the city has gained important political stature, with both sides pouring resources into the fight. The city, which had an estimated pre-war population of some 70,000 people, remains an important urban hub in the Donetsk region, which the Kremlin claimed to have annexed last year, despite not fully controlling. The Russian-installed head of the Donetsk region, Denis Pushlin, told journalists Tuesday that fierce battles were raging for every meter of Bakhmut. The Ukrainian regime absolutely does not take into account numerous losses, he said. The head of the Wagner group, that has claimed to be leading Russia's assault on Bakhmut, meanwhile said Ukraine was consolidating forces for a counterattack. They are absolutely preparing, Yevgeny Prigozhin said in a statement on social media, outlining what he said were Kyiv's plans to beat back his troops encircling the city.
The News International edition will now take a short break, but please stay with us.